Hello and welcome to Karma Kartavya classes. Now, in today's session, we'll see one important topic of polity, and this would be helpful for you to for UPSC prelims and mains as well. But for other students who find this video useful for any other examination, you can make good use of it. I'm very much confident that it will be profitable to you. So let's start the session. Now, fundamental rights. As fundamental rights, what to understand by rights, this becomes important. Let us build a background first, then we can go for the articles, because a good understanding of rights, if you have, then that feel will be there. Then articles can be understood from the lenses of their framers. That means what? The constitution has been framed by intellectuals and our great grandfathers. They had something in mind. There were some situation going on in that era. What after World War II? That were also the reasons why some articles are being included. So that reason should be known, that situation should be known, that concept should be known. Then you will be able to better appreciate the articles. Otherwise, it will be a mechanical way of learning. Okay. Now let us see what are rights. Now in this slide, you can see that there's a character called SpongeBob. He's a Cartoon Network character. I have put this slide because it would make it interesting. Right? It will make the concept easy through these slides and the conversation between the characters. Now the SpongeBob says that he'll not be wearing the uniform, rather he will be wearing whatever he likes to the school. The wise old grandmother says, no, it is not your right, it is stupidity. Why does she say like that? There's a reason. See, uniform. What is uniform? Wherever you see the word uni, it represents some kind of oneness. Union, what is union? A certain group of people come together. It's a word unitary, where somewhere oneness is there. So uniform is also one form, one kind of form. Everyone is same in only one form. That is uniform. If at all in schools it is allowed that everyone can wear whatever they want, then what will happen? Inequality will come into picture. Everyone is not same. Financially, everyone will be different. So someone will be wearing new dresses every day, and someone will not have the dress, will not have dresses, will not have good shoes. So they will be demeaned. They will be isolated. They will feel that we are poor. So that student cannot learn in that type of environment. Therefore, uniform is important. So that cannot be denied. Uniform cannot be denied. It cannot be claimed as a right of a particular person that he'll not wear uniform. Therefore, it is so SpongeBob wants to understand what are rights then? What are rights? As we said, was the claim of this character that he'll not wear uniform, was it justifiable? No, it was not justifiable. So what is right? Right are entitlements and justified claims. Which type of claims? They are justified claims. Now, next thing is, how can we connect to rights? How can we say that this is our right? Whatever condition where our self-respect and dignity comes into picture, that condition can be claimed as our right. Yes, that condition can be claimed as our right. That means what? What are self-respect and dignity? That doesn't mean that when you are going to any function, you should be called upon and given a main chair on the stage. That is not dignity or self-respect. That is a kind of luxury, you can say. But whenever we are going to a function, you should be treated well. At least you should be welcomed. At least you should be treated equally. At least when there is a program of some dining is there, dining situations are there, then you should be given a plate equal to others. It is not that everyone is getting a plastic plate, a good plate, and you are getting some newspaper to take food into. You are getting an isolated place to eat. You're not allowed to mingle with other people. So there, self-respect and dignity comes into picture. So you can claim, this is my right. You have invited me. So it is my right to be treated well. So their self-respect and dignity comes into picture. And also, rights are very necessary for well-being of people. For example, if I say you have no right to speak, you have no right to express your thoughts, you have now no right to walk, you have now no right to roam freely around the country, then what will happen? You will not be able to develop. You will not be able to see the diversity of the country. You will not be able to speak out what new thoughts cannot be expressed. You cannot have debates with intellectuals. If there are no debates with intellectuals, then good ideas will not come. You'll not be developed. So that is not human being. That is not life of a human being. So what are important? What can be called as rights? They are entitlement and justified claims and representation of condition which collectively as source of self-respect and dignity. Whatever is a source of self-respect and dignity, that condition or that representation of condition become our right. And rights are necessary for well-being. I hope you understood the concept of right. Now let us see some sayings by intellectuals around the world. Immanuel Kant, who was a philosopher, once said that everything has a price. Okay, everything has a price. And that price, that thing which has a price, can be replaced by another thing. Are you able to understand? That means what? Everything has a price. And that particular thing can be replaced. Right? Okay. That means what? A cheaper thing can be replaced, which does the same function with a very costly one. But human being does not have price. He has dignity, and that cannot be replaced. You cannot say that I'll not give you dignity, but I'll give you everything. Dignity and self-respect are the base of rights of human being, basic rights of human being. Now you'll understand. What did you understand for the past 5 to 6 minutes? We are discussing something. We are discussing about rights. So what do we understand by rights then? What are examples we have taken? We have seen some points. What are those points? Whatever we talked, it is pointing towards basic, a word called basic. We're not talking about luxuries. I never told that human beings should get good food. I told that he should get food that is consumable. It is his right. I did not say that a student or a child should get a luxurious school. I said basic education is the right of an individual. I did not say that a human being should not be forced to work, or he can be left to his will and paid freely. A human being should do work, then only then he will be paid. But there should be some basic standard set. A hourly pay should be there, a respectable pay. So everything is pointing towards some basic things, basic rights. So how this thought came into picture? See, in 17th century and so, there was French Revolution. World, Europe was into Renaissance. Renaissance means there were new thoughts coming into picture. People were studying human being. People were able to see the differences, the social differences. People were vocal about it. They observed that kings and the people in higher strata were getting good resources, and people from lower strata were not. Then this idea came. Then this idea propagated that every human being is given natural rights by God, not by other human being, only by God. He is not here to serve other people. He is served, that word I'm using is different. We are also serving, but with dignity. We're not slaves. I'm talking about an era where people were seldom paid and treated as slaves and given very nominal payment, and the work that they have to do was humongous, and they were treated as slaves only. So that era was there. So it was said that human being is not born to serve others. Slowly, these rights they were talking about, they were saying that it was given by God. But slowly, that God term was replaced by natural. That means they began to say that human being has natural rights. He has natural rights, the rights given by nature. What are those rights? Rights of life, right of property, and right of dignity. These are the rights given naturally by the nature. Now, after World War II, what happened? There was international disorder. The war brought with it sorrows, economic drainage, economic drain was there. People were becoming poor. They were treated ill during war. There were many atrocities around the world. So after the World War II, the countries decided, or the nations decided, to bring the world into an order, and they introduced United Nations human rights, United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There, some political, economical rights were declared. Here we are declaring the rights. They are not compulsory. That means that declaration, whichever country signs the declaration, they are morally obliged, but not politically obliged. Obliged means it is not compulsory that they have to follow that rules in their country, but morally they have. You have signed something, so morally responsibility is there. So what did it do? In many countries, laws were made which followed the human rights. So this happened. There was a change. Now, when we look at our country, there are also many rights given to us. That is because of that situation which was prevailing around the world. Now we can see Nelson Mandela. What does he say? To deny. Now, when this era came, these rights were known as natural rights. They're known as human rights now. The terminology human rights. Now also you can hear human rights, human rights. Now this human rights, Nelson Mandela says, if you deny the people of human rights, then we are challenging the humanity itself. This is how much important human rights became. 10th December of every year is being celebrated as Human Rights Day, because this was the day in 1948 where human rights, Universal Declaration on Human Rights was passed. As I said, it's not legally binding, but it's morally binding. Now, coming to India, what India did? India became independent when? On 15th August 1947. Because we have fought with British for our independence, we knew the value of human rights, because we were denied. And the situation was, there was caste system. There were many castes, scheduled castes, who were deprived of their rights from ancient past. So as a nation, if we have to grow, we have to reduce these inequalities. So our constitution made sure, the framers of our constitution made sure that Universal Declaration of Human Rights should be reflected in our constitution. And it did. When we read our preamble, we come across the word liberty, equality, fraternity. Our preamble loudly says that we are with human rights. And we go through in the fundamental rights, in directive principle, and fundamental duties also, that reflection will be there. I hope you understood why our constitution was very particular about the rights of the citizens. Now, the important and the main part, the part 3, that is fundamental rights. In this part, rights are exclusively discussed from Article 14 to Article 32. But before Article 14 to 32, everywhere you can see state. You can see state word. So that definition is in Article 12. So that we'll see. So till now, we have seen what is the importance of rights, what we understand by rights, and what Indian Constitution say about rights, and which part is important. I hope you understood why fundamental word is being added now. Fundamental means basic and important, without which it cannot be done. We cannot make people to think now. We are treating them as slaves then. That fundamental rights are required. We have to give. Now, why these fundamental rights are there? They are meant for promoting what? Promoting the ideal of political democracy. Now, political democracy means what? As you know, India is a democracy. But what happens in democracy? People have to choose the government. If people have no rights there, no fundamental rights there, then how will they express themselves? If I say you have no right of expression, no fundamental right of expression, then what will happen? You're not able to discuss anything with anyone. You cannot express yourself. Then there will not be political debates. You'll not be able to come to a conclusion whom to choose. It will be difficult. There will be no democracy if there are no fundamental rights. So fundamental rights are important for promoting the ideal of political democracy. And they are also important to prevent the establishment of an authoritarian and despotic rule. What do you mean by authoritarian and despotic rule? If you have no rights, say, then you cannot challenge. You cannot challenge the public servants. Whatever they say, it will be final. Because you have right, you can go to the court and file cases against them, and you can fight. And the justice will be prevailed. So what it does? It operates as a limitations of tyranny of the executive and arbitrary laws of legislative. That means what? There are three pillars of democracies: legislature, executive, and judiciary. What does executive does? Executive executes the laws and legislature make the laws. If there are no rights, the legislature and executive will behave as they like, and arbitrary laws will be passed and they will be forced upon to the public. So what fundamental right operate as limitation for us. They cannot do that. And though they also face negative obligations, that means what? Fundamental rights are negative obligations. That means it tells to the state what not to do. That means it says what states cannot do. What is that? What powers they don't have. They set limitations. So what are fundamental rights then? If you have to write something about in mains, a introductory or explanation, or you can use an essays also. Fundamental rights are meant for promoting the ideal of democracy, political democracy. They prevent the establishment of authoritarian and despotic rule. They operate as limitation of tyranny of the executive and arbitrary laws of legislature. And there are negative obligations on the state not to interfere with the liberty of an individual and aim at establishing a government of laws and not of men.